You have Photoshop and InDesign open, and you need to have your thumbnail sketches in front of you. We're going to make a new document in Photoshop that's 4 inches by 4 inches. We're going to reduce that later, but by designing it nice and big, you're going to be able to have a sharp design. So with your thumbnail sketch in hand, you're going to your rough layout sheet and thumbnail sketch of your logo design sheet in hand, you're going to go in and get a paint brush. Now if you have a lot of detail, you can use the pen tool. But for what I'm doing, the paint brush will be fine. And I'm going to design nice and big the logo I had for you on my rough layout. Now we want this good but not perfect. I say good but not perfect because we're going to clean this up in Illustrator. One of the things we're learning with this assignment is the difference between Illustrator, which is a vector-based program, and Photoshop, which is a raster-based program. So what you'll notice right off the bat is you should be noticing that there's a lot of pixels in here. And I'm just cleaning my design up a little bit. So this is my AN, and I don't need to have it perfect in terms of the edges being perfect, but I need it good enough that all the edges and the shape will be correct. Now I'm actually not happy with the shape. I would probably spend 3 or 4 days if I was charging $1,000, which is usually what it fetches, $1,000 per logo. I would be spending more than 5 minutes making this look good. But see, now I'm cleaning up a little bit of the shape to make the shape a little bit better. So I'm going to say that's my AN design. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it. All assignments in this class are saved as your initials, ALN, plus the name of the assignment, which is logo. So my initials are ALN, and I'm saving it as logo. Now I have a lot of extra space that I've used, and so I'm going to crop it as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open it in Photoshop. I'm going to open it in Illustrator. And we're doing the same thing, taking it from Illustrator to Photoshop, from Photoshop to Illustrator, what you did with your color schemes. So when I go File, Open now I've changed to Illustrator, but I can see through to my Photoshop document. I'm going to go File, Open, and it should have saved it as ALN logo on my desktop. And I want the TIFF version because the AI is the one I cleaned up last period. So if you open it up, and it's going to be here any minute now, and I go with the zoom tool, you should notice that it's very pixelated. Photoshop is for Photoshop, photos, and Illustrator is for illustrations. We use them back and forth depending on what they're for. This is pixelated because it came from Photoshop. But if I go to Object, Image Trace, always have to have it selected first. And don't have your magnifying tool on. Have your selection tool, have it selected, and go to Object, Image Trace, Make, watch. It cleaned it up for me. So now I've got a lovely vector graphic that I can use on my notepad and other things. So I'm going to save it as, and I'm going to save it as ALN logo too because I did this last period, and so I have a couple of versions of it, and save it. And now I've got a nice crisp version to use on my next project. So that's how, after you've done your thumbnails and rough layouts, you do your final designs in Photoshop and Illustrator of your logo.